Okay, so you started your PhD at a very early age, and I assume you were in class with people in their mid 30s, 40s, and 50s who had a lot of life experiences more than you had. How did that feel?
My parents are also teachers, and so I was always kind of pushed to be the best, to be like at the top of the class. And so it just seemed like going to grad school was the natural thing to do. And so I think it has to be a really personal decision, and you should ask yourself when you're deciding whether or not to go to grad school, if it's something you want to do.
What kept you persistent?
Part of it was being stubborn and really just wanting to finish what I started. And yeah, another part of it is being a bit of a perfectionist.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk. I am so excited to host. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
How was it? Was it yesterday or today?
Yesterday was my birthday. Yeah.
Happy birthday. Yeah, I remember that. I wish you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk. I am so excited to host Dr. Lauren Alteio, joining us today from the University of Vienna in Austria, where she is currently working as a researcher. She is a soil microbial ecologist and has worked on soil microbial communities using sequencing, which she would break it down a bit in the episode. We talk about her research. She completed her PhD at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she won an award also to work on the Joint Genome Institute. Lauren is a passionate science communicator and is actively involved in writing and doing science outreach programs with high school students and also with middle school kids, just because she loves kids. So if you want any tip at all on how to perform such outreaches, Lauren will be a great resource to contact. So I am super glad once again to have Lauren on today's episode to share her insights and journey in academia on this platform. So welcome, Lauren.
Thanks for having me, Emelia. This is a really cool series and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. So today's episode, we are going to talk broadly about your journey to becoming a scientist, your experience as a graduate student, and some other challenges that you had to personally go through, and most importantly, how you were able to persist through those times and still achieve all the goals you set for yourself. So to begin our conversation, I'd like to ask you, if you had 3 words to describe your journey of becoming a scientist, what would those 3 words be?
I think the first thing that you've already touched upon is challenging. It was immensely challenging in many ways. It also had many unexpected twists and turns, so unexpected and transformative, because I learned a lot about myself and also about science along the way.
Wow. Interesting. Challenging, unexpected, but also transformative. Okay, so you started your PhD at a very early age, and I assume you were in class with people in their mid 30s, 40s, and 50s who had a lot of life experiences more than you had. How did that feel?
So yeah, in the US, you can start your PhD basically after your bachelor's degree. And so that's exactly what I did. And you're exactly right that a lot of people were older than I was at the time. And so at times it felt like I was the underdog in the room, that I was so young and inexperienced that I didn't have anything that I could possibly offer. And so I was doubted a lot. And so I had to kind of struggle with doubts from other people, but also the doubts that created in myself.
Yeah. Since you started your study at a very early age, do you think it's a good thing for other people to do that? Because I know some parents literally instigate those things in their kids, especially for kids whose parents happen to be teachers. That is my personal observation and from my own experience too. So, but do you think it's a good thing for people to enroll in higher institution at a very early age, or for parents to push their kids to do that?
Yeah, so I think I have a similar experience to you, because my parents are also teachers. And so I was always kind of pushed to be the best, to be like at the top of the class. And so it just seemed like going to grad school was the natural thing to do. And so I think it has to be a really personal decision, and you should ask yourself when you're deciding whether or not to go to grad school, if it's something you want to do. So that's something that I wish I would have spent more time thinking about before I went to grad school, but I think ultimately I made the right decision.
I'm glad that amidst it all, you felt you made the best decision. And that's something that I think is so beautiful. Yeah. So you earlier mentioned that if you were to describe your journey of becoming a scientist, you would use challenging, unexpected, and transformative. What were the major challenges that came your way as you were pursuing your graduate program?
Yeah, so academia isn't perfect. So I think a lot of people struggle with some of the same things that I was struggling with and continue to struggle with as a first year graduate student, with some insecurities and feeling like you're not ever good enough. And so I think that results in a lot of academic bullying and competition that happens. And so I actually experienced some form of academic bullying and abuse of power during my PhD from superiors. And so I was told often that I wasn't good enough to make it in academia, and I would kind of be nothing without the people who were above me. And so that made me doubt myself a lot, that I didn't deserve this place. And so, yeah, that made it a lot more difficult for me. And it made me struggle a lot with my mental health as well. And I thought a lot about quitting my PhD program. So that was one of the major struggles that I had.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that must have been extremely difficult. But the exciting and encouraging part of it is that you saw through those challenges. And so I'm curious to know what kept you going, what kept you persistent.
Part of it was being stubborn and really just wanting to finish what I started. And another part of it is being a bit of a perfectionist. So I always want to see things through, but I think I try to let that be a good quality in myself, that I'm kind of always pushing myself to learn more and do better. And I was also just fascinated by my research topic, and my research was going really well. So in the midst of all this, I tried to find, objectively the fact that I was doing a good job. And so you have to kind of separate people's criticism about you from the reality of what's actually going on. And that helped me keep going. Yeah, so I think what really helped me was having a group of colleagues and friends that were also in grad school at the time that understood what I was going through. So we talked a lot about problems we might have been having with our supervisors or frustrations with our research. And so that helped me see that I wasn't alone, because my family didn't really understand what I was going through, because they're not scientists, they haven't been to grad school. And so they don't know what it's like to be a scientist. Also, going to therapy helps a lot. I sought out help from a therapist during grad school and also as a postdoc, and that helps a lot to just talk to a professional about what you're going through and try to process some of those things in life. And I think what also helped me the most was finding mentors that actually believed in me. So this isn't always something that just happens in grad school. You have to really look for those people who believe in you. And I was lucky to find actually a lot of female scientists who believed in me and really helped me to believe in myself, that I could be in science and that I deserved a place there.
Wow, that is so encouraging to listen to. So are there things you think we could do to help support young people who enroll in such programs? I feel like it's a little crazy to think everyone in a room is on the same life scale. And I happen to, experience that sometimes. So I'd like to ask if there are certain things you think could be done to support young people who enroll in such higher degree programs.
Yeah. So like I said, finding my mentors really helped me to feel like I deserved a place in science. And I think that is key to really, getting a more diverse group of people to do science and to stay in science. We need to increase representation of people of different races, gender identities, across the board, just so more people feel like they also have a place to do science. And so I think that needs to come from high up in the academic institutions. And it's, there are whisperings of it now, but it's happening super slowly. So it needs to kind of ramp up so that we can have those voices in the room. I think also graduate schools can be a bit clear about the expectations of what graduate school actually is, so that sometimes it's right for a really young scientist to come in and start doing their PhD right away, but sometimes people don't know what that means. Like I was very naive when I started this research path, because I didn't have anyone telling me what exactly it meant and what was expected of me. So I think that's really important as well.
Beautiful. So having clear expectations of what graduate school is all about, and even like you mentioned with school administration, with advisors and all of that, I think having that clear expectation is going to go a long way to support young ones who come into graduate school and are hyper to learn science and achieve all their dreams. To close this conversation, what would you like to tell other young scientists? And what would you also want others to learn from your story?
Yeah, I think, you don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's the most important thing that I learned. I was so scared to not ask for help with my science because I was afraid of looking dumb. And I was also afraid to ask for help from friends and from colleagues with things I was really struggling with personally. But I realized when you do that, you can really help yourself in many ways. And there's a whole community of supportive people out there. So reach out to other people and it will make everything easier for you in the end.
Great. Ask for help. Yeah. Very important. Okay, thank you so much, Lauren, for such a touching session and inspiring many others out there, many other people out there. For our viewers, I hope you enjoyed this session, and make sure to check out Lauren's website to find out more about her research and all the cool stuff she does. We will take a break here, and on our next video, Lauren will talk about her research on soil microbes. Link is posted in bio. I am your host, Emelia. Let's enjoy science together.